Employment relationships is another emerging workplace trend. So as we can see here on the slide, there are three main employment relationships that exist. You have direct employment, and this is where the employee is working directly for the employer. So the employer is paying them, providing them with benefits. Note that this could include both full-time permanent positions employees, part-time employees, as well as temporary employees, as long as they're employed through the employer. Then we have indirect employment. Indirect employment is going to be when you have workers who are outsourced to a particular company. So you can think consultants in some way in this sort of situation, where you have employees who are working for one company, but they do the work at another location for another company. And then finally, we have contract employees. And this is basically where a worker is a contractor serving a client. So this contract employee or contractor is just going to be an individual employee in most situations, and they have a client. Now, the big difference between this and a temporary direct employment is that under the direct employment, in that temporary position, the employer is providing a lot of benefits to that employee, even in that temporary position, potentially paid time off, retirement benefits, health insurance benefits, basically benefits in general, whereas the contract employee does not receive benefits from the client. They receive whatever the fee is, and it is incumbent on that contract employee to ask for enough money to cover the cost of the various benefits, such as being able to take time off, health insurance, and you don't have to pay for your own retirement. Now, a really big trend in modern day workplaces is moving away from direct employment and more towards contract employment. And this is seen as a way to anticipate and match what particularly young employees want. There's something is referred to as the gig economy. And think of it as the Uberification of the workplace, where you as a contract contingent worker come in and you work the projects that you want to work. So you apply to work on a particular project for a particular employer. And when that project is done, you go and do whatever. Take time off, travel the world, find additional opportunities. And so this is so the traditional full-time permanent employee or that direct employment is largely seen as going away. And we're going to see more contract employment as well, probably more indirect employment in future. Now, in terms of the consequence of the emerging employee relationships, we see that direct employees, they tend to have higher quality work, and they also tend to be very innovative and showing agility. Because if the relationship is managed well between the employee and the employer, then the employee is going to care about the employer, going to care about their success, and so they're going to bring their creative energy to the work context, and they're going to do their best to try to make sure that the employer is successful. Also, direct employees, though, they do show lower satisfaction and commitment when they're working with the indirect employees, because largely they've seen that the indirect employees is not having any to the company. In terms of the indirect employment, we do see lower job satisfaction than the other employment types, because they neither have the freedom of the contract employee, nor do they have really good relationship with their coworkers and boss that you would see under direct employment. Because these people, they work in an office that is not their employer. So their relationships with people is temporary at best. And when you have teams of both direct and indirect workers, you tend to have much weaker social networks as well as less information sharing. And for the managers who have to manage both direct and indirect employees, it's a little bit harder when you're managing the indirect workers, because you have less discretion over what you can do with them.